Welcome to the Swedesford 10. The history of these schools is intertwined with the growth of Church Farm School. As they grew, these homes were built for the teachers, for the superintendents of the school. In 2002, they were abandoned. Now these are another part of this whole thing, another cul-de-sac with 3 more homes, 1, 2, 3, and they made up part of this whole complex. Now next door is a different kind of treasure, if you will. In addition to the 9 small homes, there was an additional brick home pictured here that was done in 1930. It's known as the Pickwick house, built for John Kent Lane, a prominent individual, prominent person in Philadelphia. Now, this is a beautiful home. It has not been broken into. Everything inside is being preserved. The land developers that are talking about changing this cannot touch this home. They cannot. These 3 homes are being covered over by growth. That one over there, you can't even see it from here. And that's what's going to happen until they're taken down. This is the final home, number 9, and we'll be showing you right now the entire history of the Swedesford 10. What that means is that we looked at everything we could possibly find. We spent weeks on this, and hopefully you'll understand and enjoy that all the questions that people have when they drive by here will be answered. So enjoy the show.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to see abandoned homes, and I would wonder what happened, who lived there, how were their Christmases, how were their Thanksgivings, how many kids, just simply what happened. As part of this, we want to show you what the home might have looked like had it been taken care of, what it looked like with family, what it looks like now, and what it will look like when it's gone. And these homes will be gone. So take this short trip back in time before we bring you the reason why this happened. Along Swedesford Road in Chester County, Pennsylvania, there is a cluster of abandoned houses, 10 in total, that have stood vacant for years. These include 9 modest mid-20th century houses and 1 larger estate home. All were originally part of the Church Farm School property, which was an Episcopal boarding school founded in 1918. The history of these structures is intertwined with the growth of Church Farm School. The smaller houses along Swedesford Road were built as residences for faculty and staff. As the school expanded through the early mid-20th century, it undertook ambitious building programs to support its educational and agricultural mission. By the 1930s to the 1950s, Church Farm School's campus had grown northward to Swedesford Road. Township records describe them as split-level homes built around 1960, each featuring 3 to 4 bedrooms, garages, and yards to accommodate faculty families. Now, these homes are not architecturally individually distinctive enough to be individually historically significant, but they were an integral part of the campus's fabric and reminders of the school's heyday when faculty, staff, and even their families lived and worked together on the sprawling school farm. By the late 20th century, Church Farm School found itself land-rich but cash-strapped in the face of changing educational need. In the 1980s and the 1990s, the school made strategic decisions to sell large portions of its acreage to fund its academic programs and campus improvements. Major developers became involved in these transactions. Plans were announced around 1988 to develop 1,325 acres of church farm land as part of the Churchill Project. They proposed restoring some historic houses for adaptive use, and in the end, much of the school's open land was sold off in parcels and some was conveyed to the township for parks and open space. But by 2002, Church Farm School's campus had downsized to just 141 acres from a peak of 1,600 acres. Toll Brothers, a prominent builder, reportedly purchased a large tract north of Swedesford Road, including that cluster of faculty houses from the school in the early 2000s. As part of that sale, it said that Toll Brothers built new homes elsewhere for the remaining church farm faculty, allowing the school staff to relocate and vacate the old houses. This left the Swedesford Road homes in the hands of developers and no longer occupied. For a time, there was little immediate development on that particular 100-acre tract. The houses simply changed ownership on paper. Well, once the teachers and the families moved out, the 9 mid-century houses and the Pickwick were left empty. We'll talk about the Pickwick in a moment. The expectation at the time was that development was imminent, possibly an office park or housing, but for various reasons, including economic cycles, planning delays, or changes in ownership, the project did not move forward for over a decade. During that time, no interim use was made of the houses, but occasionally the grass was mowed, but the buildings themselves were not secured beyond basic boarding up, nor were they maintained beyond minimal roof repairs on one of the 2 structures. They slowly deteriorated from exposure and lack of heating or upkeep, and by 2010, passerbys could clearly see broken windows and vines crawling up the walls. By around 2018 to 2019, the houses had acquired a local notoriety as the ghost houses of Swedesford Road. Commuters driving by wondered why these perfectly good homes were being left to rot. Photos from local bloggers show the houses in various stages of decay, including paint peeling, porches sagging, and nature reclaiming the once trimmed lawns. In 2023, things started to change for the 9 houses. The 100-acre tract went through planning reviews as Valley Creek Active Adult Community started plans for an active adult 55-plus residential community on this land, finally heralding a likely end to the houses over 2 decades of abandonment. In early 2024, the Township's Planning Commission revealed that all 9 of the small houses are slated for demolition to make way for the new development. The houses were described in official documents as being in poor condition and beyond reuse, which unfortunately is a common outcome for buildings left unoccupied for 20-plus years. Indeed, the Township's Historical Commission reluctantly agreed that the deteriorated 1960s split levels would not be saved. And as of mid-2025, it is expected that these 9 houses will be torn down by the end of the year, if not sooner. Construction of the New Age restricted community, which is 317 units of single-family, twin, and townhomes, is likely to begin following final approvals in 2025. Now, the 10th home was a little different. It was called the Pickwick Mansion, and it was built in 1930 in Tudor Revival style, and it is the largest and most significant house on the site. Once home to John K. Kane Jr. and later owned by Church Farm School, who used it as the headmaster's residence, Pickwick is now vacant but will be preserved among new development plans. Pickwick, also known as the John Kent Kane Jr. House, is a grand estate home that stands out layout along the Swedesford Road houses. The township recognized Pickwick as an official historic resource, and it was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1988. Today, Pickwick is one of the few structures on the track slated to be saved. Developers have agreed that while the 9 small houses will be demolished, the Pickwick mansion itself will be retained and sold as a single-family home, likely to be restored by a private buyer. In preparation for new construction, the mansion's roof was recently replaced to stabilize the building, and local historians in the Township Historical Commission have been adamant about protecting Pickwick. At public meetings, officials confirmed that there are no plans to tear down the home. Pickwick's future looks more hopeful than the other 9, of course, and it will remain as a centerpiece of heritage on the redeveloped site. Until demolition occurs, the 9 houses remain visible reminders of the past. They line a stretch of Swedesford Road. Some sit back a bit behind trees and others closer to the road. And the homes are painted in muted mid-century colors and are in states of disrepair. The land around is a mix of meadow and secondary growth. And one example of the abandonment is that these houses could have been homes for families during the housing shortages of the 2010s. People suggested using them temporarily to house people in need, but liability issues and ownership by a developer made that impossible. Thus, the houses have waited in limbo. No longer owned by the school and not yet utilized by developers, a stark example of how development can sometimes lead to perfectly viable homes becoming obsolete. As for the condition inside of the 9 staff homes at the moment, it is very obvious that they are in a state of decay and rot. Each room has its share of black mold, which is very dangerous, along with walls that are sagging and floors that are caving in. Make no mistake, these homes are dangerous to enter, and there is a high probability that anyone entering will get seriously hurt. This isn't even taking into account the black mold. It is a sad end to 9 beautiful homes that gave families over 3 decades of shelter, memories, and everyday life. Birthdays, late-night dinners, backyard games, and quiet Sunday mornings that no one passing by today would ever guess had happened there. So what do you think? Should the 9 homes have been preserved, or was this just the cost of suburban change? Let us know in the comments section. And then until next time, stay curious, stay respectful, and never stop asking what used to be.